Have you ever felt a sudden heat rising from your chest, flooding your face, and making your heart race? You know that feeling when words of fire are right at the edge of your tongue, ready to burn everything down. We have all been there. Something happens, and in an instant, the body reacts before the mind even catches up. Anger is one of the most familiar guests in our human house. It arrives fast, it feels enormous, and then, sooner or later, it passes. We often think our anger is justified because someone treated us unfairly or things did not go our way. We believe that by shouting or striking back, we are defending ourselves. But if you look closely, right in the middle of it, you can actually see something interesting happening. There is heat. There is a story running in your head. There is an urge to act. In this journey together, we are going to look closely at what anger really is, through the ancient and profound lens of Buddhism. Not to get rid of it, not to fix it, just to see it clearly, the way it actually moves through the body and mind. You might think that anger is simply a reaction to the world outside. But Buddhism invites us to look closer, into the very way we perceive what is happening. Let us look together. To understand anger, we first need to understand its Buddhist name, which is Dosa. Dosa is often translated as anger, but it also means hatred, aversion, or the desire to push something away. Think of it as a psychological wall you build when you encounter something you do not like. Every time you say no to the present moment, you are inviting dosa into your heart. This resistance is like trying to stop a river by throwing rocks into it. The more you resist, the more the water thrashes and foams. This inner conflict is the true face of dosa. Let us start with a story from the life of the Buddha that perfectly illustrates how to handle this fire. One time, the Buddha was walking through the city of Kasembai to collect alms. There was a woman named Migandia who held a deep grudge against him because of a past misunderstanding. She hired a group of people to follow the Buddha through the streets, shouting insults and cursing him. They called him a thief, a fool, and many other terrible names. His loyal attendant, Ananda, could not bear to hear his teacher being insulted like that. Ananda turned to the Buddha and said, "Teacher, this city is full of hateful people. Let us leave and go somewhere else." The Buddha calmly asked, "And what if the next city is also full of people who insult us, Ananda?" Ananda replied, "Then we will move to another city after that." The Buddha shook his head and said, "If we do that, we will be running forever. Ananda, problems must be resolved right where they arise." He told Ananda to stay in Kasembai and wait for the storm to pass. He compared himself to an elephant in battle that withstands the arrows coming from all directions. The Buddha did not react with anger because he understood that the insults were not him. He saw that the people shouting were simply suffering from their own inner poison. Within 7 days, the insults stopped and the people of Kasembai began to respect him. This story teaches us a fundamental truth about anger. Anger only has power over you if you choose to pick it up. If someone offers you a gift and you do not accept it, who does the gift belong to? It still belongs to the person who tried to give it. Anger is exactly the same. But why is it so hard for us to just leave that gift on the floor? Why do we feel compelled to get angry? According to the teachings of Buddhism, anger is a byproduct of ignorance, or avijja. We are ignorant of the true nature of things. We believe in a solid, permanent self that needs to be protected. When someone insults you, you feel that your self is being attacked. This illusory self is like a shadow that we try to defend with all our might. But if there is no solid self, then who is there to be insulted? This is a very deep realization that takes time to fully grasp. Let us look at the mechanics of how anger forms in your mind. It starts with a contact, which is called phassa. Your eyes see a rude gesture, or your ears hear a sharp word. Immediately after contact, a feeling arises, which is called vedana. In the case of anger, this feeling is always unpleasant or painful. Naturally, the mind wants to get rid of this pain. This is where we meet a very important term, abhavatanha. Abhavatanha is the craving for non-existence, or the desire to eliminate what is happening. You feel the pain of the insult, and you want that pain to go away immediately. You think that by getting angry and striking back, you can destroy the source of your pain. But this is a tragic mistake. As the great teachers say, trying to stop anger with anger is like trying to put out a fire by pouring gasoline on it. Master Vien Minh, a profound teacher of the present day, explains that anger is a form of resistance against reality. When you are in a room and it is too hot, and you start to complain and get frustrated, you are creating a second layer of suffering. The heat of the room is the physical pain, but your frustration is the psychological pain. Buddhism calls this double suffering. You are being hit by second arrows. The first arrow is the external event, like the heat or the insult. The second arrow is your own reaction of anger. The first arrow might be inevitable, but the second arrow is entirely optional. Most of our misery comes from that second arrow. We spend so much energy trying to change the world so we do not have to feel pain. We want everyone to be nice to us, the weather to be perfect, and the traffic to be smooth. But the world does not work that way. The nature of life is change, or anicca. Things will always go against our desires sometimes. If your happiness depends on everything going your way, you will be angry for the rest of your life. True freedom is not found in a world without problems. True freedom is found in a heart that does not resist the problems. This brings us to a very subtle type of anger that we often overlook. We usually think of anger as an explosion, like a volcano. But anger can also be a slow, cold leak. When you feel bored or depressed or constantly dissatisfied, that is also a form of dosa. Boredom is simply a mild form of anger toward the present moment. You are saying, this moment is not good enough. I want something else to happen. Depression can often be anger turned inward. Instead of pushing the world away, you are pushing yourself away. You are resisting your own existence because it feels painful. All these states come from the same root, the refusal to accept what is. So, how do we actually deal with this burning fire when it arises? Buddhism offers us many tools, but the most powerful one is simple awareness. When anger arises, your habit is to look at the person who made you angry. You focus on their flaws, their mistakes, and how wrong they are. But the Buddha teaches us to turn the light inward. Instead of looking at the person, look at the anger itself. Observe the sensation in your body. Feel the tightness in your stomach, the tension in your jaw, the heat in your blood. Do not try to suppress it, and do not act on it. Just be the witness. Master Vien Minh teaches a very beautiful principle called just see, do not repair. Our natural instinct is to try to fix our emotions. We want to replace anger with love or sadness with joy. But the act of trying to fix anger is actually just another form of resistance. If you are angry and you say to yourself, "I must not be angry, I must be peaceful," that thought, "I must not be angry," is actually born from a place of aversion. You are being angry at your own anger. You are creating a conflict within yourself. Instead, Master Vien Minh suggests that we should treat anger like a crying baby. When a baby cries, a good mother does not hit the baby or tell it to be quiet. She picks the baby up and holds it with total love and presence. She does not judge the baby for crying. She just stays with the baby until the crying naturally stops. Awareness is that loving mother. When you hold your anger in the arms of your awareness, without judgment, something miraculous happens. The anger begins to lose its fuel. Anger needs your thoughts to survive. It needs you to keep telling the story of how you were wronged. It needs you to keep thinking about how unfair life is. But when you drop the story and just feel the raw sensation in the body, the energy starts to dissipate. Anger is a conditioned phenomenon. It is sankhara. Anything that is born must also die. Your anger is not a permanent part of you. Anger passes through awareness the way clouds pass through the sky. The sky does not need to fight the clouds. Awareness itself isn't a thing you own or become. It is simply what is already happening when you stop grabbing the story and just notice. The goal is not to become the sky. It is to stop mistaking the clouds for who you are. There is a famous metaphor in the scriptures called the metaphor of the saw. The Buddha said that even if bandits were to catch you and saw your limbs off, one by one, if you were to harbor even a single thought of hatred toward them, you would not be following his teachings. This sounds almost impossible for a normal human being. How could anyone not feel hatred in such a situation? But the Buddha was pointing to the ultimate potential of the human mind. He was showing us that we can remain in our knowing nature, even in the face of extreme pain. He wanted us to see that the bandits are only acting out of their own deep ignorance and suffering. They are like sick people who do not know what they are doing. If you see someone who is insane and they hit you, you do not get angry at them. You feel pity for them because they have lost their mind. The Buddha saw the whole world as being temporarily insane, driven by the fires of greed, hatred, and delusion. When you see the world this way, your anger is replaced by compassion or karuna. You realize that everyone is just trying to find happiness, but they are doing it in ways that only cause more pain. This understanding is the ultimate shield against anger. Now, let us bring this down to your daily life. You probably will not have bandits sawing off your limbs today. But you might have a boss who is demanding, a spouse who is moody, or a child who is messy. These are your true teachers. Every person who pushes your buttons is showing you where you are still attached. They are showing you where your illusory self is still hiding. Instead of being angry at them, you can actually be grateful to them. They are giving you a free lesson in patience, or khanti. Patience is not about being a doormat. It is not about letting people walk all over you. It is about having a mind that is so stable and so vast that nothing can shake its peace. It is about having the strength to see the truth without reacting impulsively. When you are patient, you have the space to choose your response. Instead of shouting back, you might choose to speak firmly but kindly. Or you might choose to say nothing at all and wait for a better time to talk. This is the path of the wise. A wise person knows that an angry word spoken today can create a debt that lasts for lifetimes. This is the law of karma. Every action of body, speech, and mind leaves a seed in the storehouse of your consciousness. If you sow seeds of anger, you will harvest a life of conflict and isolation. If you sow seeds of awareness and kindness, you will harvest a life of peace and connection. As we conclude this first part of our exploration, I want you to remember one thing. You are not your anger. Anger is just a passing vibration in the field of your consciousness. You have the power to step back and watch it. You have the power to be the space in which the anger arises and falls. In the next video, we will go even deeper into how to transform this energy into something beautiful. But for now, just practice being the observer. When you feel that heat rising today, just say to yourself, "Ah, there is anger. Hello, my little crying baby. I am here for you. I am watching you." And notice how the fire starts to cool down just by the simple act of being seen. To really understand why anger is so dangerous, we have to look at what Buddhism calls the fetters, or sanyajana. These are the chains that tie us to the cycle of birth and death, and anger is one of the strongest among them. In the higher stages of enlightenment, even when a person has overcome gross desires, subtle traces of anger can still remain. It is only when a person becomes an anagami, or a non-returner, that the fetter of anger is completely broken. This shows us that anger is not just a surface behavior. It is a deep-rooted tendency in our human consciousness. There is another way Buddhism describes anger, which is as one of the 5 hindrances, or chivaranas. When you are trying to find peace or focus your mind, anger acts as a heavy cloud that blocks your vision. It is like trying to see your reflection in a bowl of water that is boiling. As long as the fire of anger is burning under that bowl, the water will be turbulent and you will never see the truth. This is why an angry person often makes terrible decisions. They are literally blinded by their own internal heat. Buddhism often compares anger to holding a hot coal in your hand, with the intention of throwing it at someone else. You might hit the other person, but you are the one who gets burned first. And if you miss, you are the only one who gets burned. The physical effects of this are real and measurable. When you get angry, your body releases a flood of stress hormones. Your heart has to work harder, your blood pressure spikes, and your immune system is weakened. Ancient teachers understood this long before modern science. They taught that every moment of anger is a moment of self-destruction. But let us talk about the root cause again, because this is where the real liberation happens. The Buddha pointed out a profound chain of events called dependent origination, or paticca samuppada. He showed that everything arises because of a cause. Ignorance leads to mental formations, which lead to consciousness, which lead to your physical body and senses. When your senses meet the world, a feeling arises. This feeling can be pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. And here is the most critical junction in your entire life. Between feeling and reaction, there is a tiny gap. If you are ignorant, you will immediately react to a painful feeling with craving for its non-existence. That is the moment anger is born. But if you are mindful, you can catch that feeling the moment it arises. You can see the pain as just a sensation, without turning it into my pain. Master Vien Minh, emphasizes that we must distinguish between the known and the knowing. The anger, the heat, the racing heart, the rude words, all of these are the known. They are objects of your experience. Awareness is the observer, the knowing nature that simply reflects what is happening without being stained. When you say, "I am angry," you have made a mistake in identification. You have confused the cloud with the sky. If you can change your language to, "There is a sensation of anger being known," you have already created the space for peace. This is the essence of Vipassana meditation. It is not about sitting in a special posture for hours. It is about this constant, bright awareness in every single moment of your life. Master Vien Minh often says that life is a mirror. Everything that happens to you, especially the things that make you angry, is a reflection of your own mind. When someone insults you, they are like a mirror showing you where you are still holding onto an ego. If there was no ego, the insult would pass through you like a breeze through a windowless house. The only reason it hits you is because you have built a wall. So the person you think is your enemy is actually your greatest benefactor. They are pointing out the very thing that is keeping you from being free. There is another powerful story in the scriptures about a yaksha, a kind of powerful spirit. This yaksha was very ugly and small, but he had a very strange power. One day he went into the heaven of the gods and sat on the throne of Sakka, the king of the gods. The other gods were furious. They shouted at the yaksha and tried to pull him off the throne. But a strange thing happened. The more they shouted and the angrier they got, the bigger and more beautiful the yaksha became. His skin started to glow, and he became even more majestic than the gods themselves. Finally, Sakka, the king of the gods, returned. He understood the secret of the yaksha. Instead of getting angry, Sakka knelt down and spoke with total humility and kindness. He welcomed the yaksha and offered him respect. The moment Sakka did this, the yaksha began to shrink and turn back into his original ugly, small form. Eventually, he disappeared completely. This is the nature of anger. It feeds on your resistance. When you fight your anger, you are actually giving it more energy. When you welcome it with humility and awareness, it has nowhere to stand. This is the meaning of the famous verse from the Dhammapada. Hatred is never ended by hatred. Hatred is ended by love. This is an eternal law. Love here does not mean a sentimental feeling. It means a vast, non-judgmental acceptance of reality. It means the willingness to be with pain without trying to destroy it. When you reach this state, you have achieved what Buddhism calls the coolness of nirvana. The word nirvana literally means to blow out, like blowing out a flame. It is the extinguishing of the fires of greed, hatred, and delusion. It is not a place you go to after when you die. It is a state of mind you can access right now. Every time you choose awareness over anger, you are tasting a little bit of nirvana. You are stepping out of the burning house and into the cool shade. Imagine a life where you are no longer a slave to your reactions. Imagine being able to walk through a storm of insults and feel nothing but compassion. This is not a myth. It is the living reality of the enlightened ones. And it is your birthright as well. The potential for this peace is already inside you, beneath all the layers of noise and reaction. All you have to do is stop, look, and see. Stop the habit of running away from pain. Look directly at the nature of your resistance and see that there is no one there to be angry. In work and our families, we have endless opportunities to practice this. Every difficult email, every annoying comment, every family argument is a holy moment. It is a moment where you can choose to be the fire or to be the sky. Choose the knowing, and you will find that the world becomes a much softer place. Not because the world has changed, but because you have returned to your true home. The fire of Dosa is high, but the cool water of awareness is always available. Next time the heat rises, remember the elephant in battle. Remember the saw and the bandits. Most importantly, remember the mother holding the crying baby. You have the strength to be that mother for your own heart. You have the strength to let the clouds pass without fighting them. Let us try to live one day without picking up the hot coals. Let us try to see the mirror instead of the enemy. One moment of awareness is a moment of freedom. And many moments together build a path to peace. I hope this exploration has given you a new perspective on the fire of anger. Until we meet again, be kind to yourself. Be kind to your little crying baby of anger. And stay awake in the present moment.